Hey everybody, and welcome back to Fleetyards Mission Briefing. I am Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Coggins. Hey everybody.
And of course, this is the show where we look at... There's a lot of sci-fi out there, right? Am I right? I'm right.
At least three. At least three different shows and at least 4 movies. At least.
Yes, exactly. So, out of that wide variety, we grab some ships that we like or that we don't like. Maybe that are just interesting. Maybe they're not interesting. Maybe they're just fan favorites. I don't know. But we look at them and we talk about them. And eventually, we'll end up doing full episodes on most of these ships with the full details and histories and all the great stuff.
But we do need more support on Patreon to do that, though, guys. Got to mention it because it's got to happen.
This is true. Yes. So, Samuel, what are we doing today?
I don't know. Normally I do renders, as you guys know, full 1080p, but occasionally Stuart says, no, it's my ship this week. And I say, okay. And then I don't know. So you tell me, Stuart. You are taking us and the audience on this journey through science fiction awesomeness.
So this is one of my ship weeks. Hold on a second. I need to look through some folders here.
Just
no, I'm
open
kidding.
the folder.
I got one lined up. We're good. So if we go to this first picture, we're going to look at a ship from Buck Rogers. His buddy Hawk. The Hawk Fighter is what it's called. Now this picture says no information is currently available on the ship, but that's because we're going to take a look at it and talk about it. So I don't know what you know about Buck Rogers.
Shall I tell you what I know about Buck Rogers?
Yes.
Buck Rogers in the 25th century.
Yes.
He is a man, because of the South Park episode, it's a man that's frozen in time.
Yep.
He frees himself. That was Cartman, but he gets frozen. He gets woken up in the future, 25th century, I suppose, by the human race, but there are aliens too, maybe. And then he has a really rubbish-looking rocket ship, and there's really bad silver costumes for the women, I seem to remember. And he has a bad laser gun, and they go around doing awful adventures, maybe. It's basically one of those serials, like Flash Gordon.
You're talking about the old black and white serials with the awful ship. Because the series from 1979 to 1981 was some pretty cool costumes, especially for the ladies. And some great ships. This is one of the ships. This is not the main ship, but this is his best friend Hawk, who's an alien he's got feathers and he's like a hawk. That's his name. Anyway, he's got this fighter that looks very much like a peregrine bird of prey.
So I take it he watched Star Trek and thought, Romulans have got it right. I'm going to go one step further.
Sure. Yeah. That's exactly what happened.
Yep.
But anyway, so this is kind of like a fighter jet. It goes in atmosphere. It's also a space vehicle. So, what do you think of the overall design, just by looking at this quick ortho?
So we'll go my impression first, then your first impression, yes. I suppose. Okay. Yeah. There's a point when form follows function, but part of a bird's ability to fly is that everything's organic, that the feathers actually work as feathers, that they can move the wings. Having these sort of flat things. I mean, it depends whether it's fighter in space or in atmosphere. That obviously changes how aerodynamic it is. But painting, these feathers doesn't actually add anything technical to it. So it's just like a simple fighter. And I'm interested to know, like, is it extra aerodynamic? Although I quite like the front view. How much of a bird even with a beak painted? It's quite. Mm-hmm. It is like that. It tells me the show doesn't do subtlety. It was before a time when you could imply things. You just had to say, I'm a hawk. No, paint. This is a hawk ship. It even goes, Arr! When it attacks, when it fires whatever guns it goes. That's what
the show does do subtlety, but I don't think his species does, because he's got feathers as for hair. And yeah, it's just their design aesthetic. And you're making fun of it. That's not very nice. Most technology that we know, most technology we have is based on the natural world. This shape for a fighter or a plane makes perfect sense. But let's move to the next picture.
Okay, well, you tell me though, what was your first? I mean, did you watch the show when it came out on TV? And then what was your first impression when it came out then? Because you picked this ship. So
I was really, really young.
Okay.
I was really young, and I just remember this is one of the. Again, I watched a lot of sci-fi with my brother. So my older brother Steve, he really liked Hawk and he liked this ship. So that's one of the reasons I liked it. I used to build them out of Lego ships like this because I thought it was just a cool design, and it just makes so much sense to me as a shape that works well for a fighter or a plane of any kind. And as I just mentioned, a lot of our technology is taken from the natural world. Shapes and things that work in nature we apply to technology because they just work. And I think this is one of those things. I know he's from another planet or whatever, but Romulus, like you said, has birds that they paint on the bottom of their ships and whatnot. So why can't another planet have birds that are pretty much the same as Earth? So
I mean that, yeah. And this picture, this physical. I mean, obviously the last one wasn't very detailed. This certainly looks better. It looks a bit more real. But I got a couple of questions then. So 2400s, 20th century. Is this a spaceship or a fighter in atmosphere? Or both? Both. Does it have FTL or is it only a fighter, more like a Viper?
That's a good question. I would assume it has FTL, but I don't recall. Okay. It's been a while since I've seen this series.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to kind of just take a look at the ship and just kind of rediscover it for myself. So,
and was this like a mass-produced fighter you saw fleets of them, or was it very much like the dude, because he's an alien, he's come to Earth, he's brought his fighter, or he transported it here on a cargo ship, he took a space Uber, brought his fighter here, and then he's like the unique one in the fleet, or is it very much his race is part of the military on Earth, or wherever they are, and this is like just part of the Armada?
No, I think he's just his fighter. I don't think there are any others of his species in the show. I know his wife is in the first episode where they meet him on the planet, but I think he was stranded. Again, I'd have to go back and rewatch and relearn it all, but yeah. As far as I know, there's only this one ship, and I think he's kind of a loner. I don't know if his race has been just killed or...
So is this meant to be more advanced than what we have at the time? Like, is this meant to be it's like an X-fighter, it's really powerful? Is it just another fighter in the squadron, I suppose?
Just another fighter. I think it's very comparable to what Buck Rogers has at the time, which is the Thunder Fighter, which is very cool as well. We will do an episode on that. So if you go to the next picture, it just shows the same model, but from the side. And I'm pretty sure those separation lines on the wings actually, they do allow for the wings to move somewhat into different configurations. Like curl forward and move in as well, so you can change the aerodynamics of it for when it's in an atmosphere and stuff. So
maybe even retract or go out further if it needs to glide or something. And because of the first picture, we saw that it has two. Because I was going to ask scale and things, but it seems to have two pilot stations at the front, window, and then two at the back. So it's a four-person craft, which is quite interesting. Although this one seems to have. No, yes, it's a four-person craft, and it's interesting. So like, does Birdman? Do you say his name? Or what did you say his name was? Hawk.
His name's Hawk. Yeah.
Oh, his name's Hawk. Yeah. So is he the only one piloting this, or does he have three humans as like co-pilots?
No, he's the only one piloting it.
So it's a four-person craft, but he's the only one piloting it.
Yeah, it's like a car.
Okay, fair enough. Good analogy.
It's like a runabout. Okay. I mean, one person can fly a runabout, but there's four seats. You don't really need them all occupied.
Okay, and I mean, I'm sure you have pictures later, but is it a heavily armed thing? I mean, I'm sure you've got pictures of guns or at some point later, but I mean, is it... I mean, just to know where they are.
It's not heavily armed, but I mean, there are other pictures. So speaking of, let's go to the next one. This is a shot of it in atmosphere with some jet engines underneath. And you're laughing again?
No, that's a really good picture. Like, it looks like a bird. I mean, that's actually very nice. It's well lit, considering.
And if you'll notice, too, that the wing tips, that the joint part near the main fuselage is angled up, and then it angles down near the tip. It's not straight across like it was in the first picture. So they do move and create different profiles. So,
and it'd be fun if sort of they, not organically, but they automatically change. Like any, when you land a plane, they have to, those flaps go up and down. Wouldn't it be cool if the wings can do full articulation? Not full, obviously, but the joints can move into any way as needed. So it's like rather than a manual, an automatic gear shift. If you go into an atmosphere, they modulate to get faster speed, and that'd be really cool if it was all just automated.
Yeah, I'm sure there'd be both. I'm sure there'd be the automated, and also you could do it manually if the need arose.
Peel like a stick shift. I don't see the point in
stick
it.
shift.
I don't get it. It just seems so
And
time consuming. I don't know.
if you look at the tail as well, the side facing up is kind of folded in. The other side doesn't have that, so the tail as well moves like a bird's tail to control its flight.
Interesting.
Yes.
So I see you said jet engines. I mean, this show.
That looks like jet engines.
Okay. Yeah, can I ask the question, then we'll get to a more full-on view of the ship. So.
Okay.
Good image.
Let's go to the next one. This is the full orthos again.
Mm-hmm.
And here the wingtips are folded down a little bit. The first picture there was straight across. This one makes it. I don't know, the front view of it. It's very slim. It's very minimal. There's no horizontal stabilizers, but you don't need those in a plane. Some modern planes actually don't have them. But I think it's great. I think it's a fantastic design.
So my question then, based on the last picture, the jet engines, I mean, how advanced is this? Because if it's using jet propulsion, I mean, okay, so the real question is 25th century, 2400s. I mean, we know Star Trek is in 23 somethings, and we have intergalactic warp drive and slipstream and all this amazing technology. Obviously the Starship Troopers, which is in the future, and all these different sci-fi Stargate is in the present, and that's more advanced. So how does that big advanced century compare to say Star Trek? I mean, it doesn't feel. I mean, you look at a Type 9 shuttle from the same timeline. You have these really neat little engines that take it across the galaxy. And you look at this, and it's a fighter jet. You know what I mean? So it doesn't feel as advanced. So what sort of advanced level has the time this comes from got? Obviously, it's an alien as well, so I guess you're looking at how advanced was their race. But I mean, you said it's comparable. So how advanced is whatever they've got at the time?
I don't know if they've really got into that. I mean, this series was a remake of the original serials, the black and white serials of Buck Rogers, but it incorporated a lot of Battlestar Galactica and Star Wars themes because they wanted to capitalize on the popularity of Star Wars. So it's kind of a reimagining of Buck Rogers with, the ships are very similar to the Viper and things like that from Battlestar Galactica as well. As for the race, like how the human race is doing at the time, I don't know if they ever really get into that. I know that it's kind of a utopian future. It's not really dystopian, which is nice. Things are nice and clean, and we weren't devastated by war or whatever. And this is like 504 years in the future because the year is 2491. So
wow.
Yeah, but I honestly I don't really remember if they talk about FTL or how much we've expanded, things like that. This was just basically brought back to capitalize on Star Wars and be another action show, so.
Do they have an intergalactic alliance where they colonize the other planets? Are there other alien races? I mean...
Yeah, there's a lot of other alien races.
Okay.
And
have they come to Earth because they wanted to, or are like this guy, they're last of their kind, they're just sort of finding sanctuary here? Or is it like, hey guys, all you aliens, come chill out on Earth for a bit? I mean, are we...
Yeah, I think it's that kind of thing. You have trade agreements with other races, and they come and visit, and it's basically like Earth today. There's problem areas, there's people we get along with,
So do we see big capital ships in Buck Rogers as well as the fighters?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool. Okay.
Well, for the life of me, I can't picture one in my head right now.
It's funny.
A lot of questions.
Well, yeah, it's always funny. Like in my brain, I think of a really ultra cheesy, for the most part, awful, show. Because obviously there's there's the Star Wars, there's the Star Treks that somehow are higher quality than some of their parts. And then you think of the not lesser, but the shows that just don't manage to stack up somehow. And here I'm asking these questions, but I'm interested, and obviously you can watch the show and see the 70s cheese, but I'm interested in hearing your knowledge of it, because you're saying all these answers and I'm imagining all these great things, and if I go watch it, I'll see, why is there 3 blinky white lights on a white panel with no detail?
I need to rewatch it. I honestly haven't watched the series in forever. I was just looking for ships that I remember that really inspired me as a kid. So I grabbed this one, and just so we're on the same page, this is called the Warhawk, the ship.
Okay,
that's its official title. So
it'd be odd to call it Hawk when he's named Hawk, but Warhawk. Nice.
Yeah, but what I think Buck Rogers really needs, because if you look back at 1970s Battlestar Galactica, it's not the greatest series, and it was created to, again, capitalize on the whole success of Star Wars. But this, I think Buck Rogers needs a reimagining, much like Battlestar Galactica got. I think that would be something that would be welcome.
They want new ideas, though, Stuart. Always remakes.
Yes, but would you not want the new Battlestar Galactica? Would you be happy never having watched that? No, of course you wouldn't, because you loved it. So I think this show needs the same kind of reboot. Anyway, we go into the next picture, and this shows the ship's landing legs, which look exactly like a bird's legs. Again, they articulate, they bend, so it can land on uneven surfaces.
Okay.
Very functional design.
Is there a front?
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. It lands and kind of arches back, and it can also lower
arches
down.
Back. Okay.
So
he really took the whole bird motif in a serious level, didn't he? Like his species, they were like they were into birds. Well, they are birds. Right. Yeah. And I do like though the lower detail, like the engine's actually kind of like the text visible. You know, it's like we've got this armor, but the little bit we don't need it. We don't have it. I guess for cooling and things, but yeah.
And the next picture is just a shot from in the movie or in the show with the landing legs coming out. They're bent like a bird's legs.
It's funny because it's a physical miniature, but I don't think it's a very big miniature because there's like almost no very little detail. But I can sort of see it's great. Like it's good, and you can tell he painted on the wings. They're not hull plating. It's war paint. It's not structural. It's not armor like Voyager or Prometheus. Not in a bad way. I'm just saying. But the legs do it pretty cool.
Right, so this next picture, this is an early concept for what the ship could look like with the wingtips folded back. Very much like a peregrine bird of prey, which they didn't go with. They did change the wing design somewhat, but I think that's a fantastic look as well. I love seeing concept art. Unused concept art is always cool in any series.
I like this more.
I was going to ask you if you like this better.
Because it's not as heavy-handed with the whole eagle thing. It's telling you that there is technology in the wings. There's like very distinct engines, I suppose, but it's not taking the literal shape in the same exact way. Plus, I like the elegance of how there's the curves or the sharp points. I kind of like that, and it feels a bit more aggressive to me. Okay. It feels more like a space fighter than a aerial fighter. Like the other one feels a bit more like it's just sort of going through the air. This feels more like it can go through space, and it's got like weapons coming out of the wings, and it's subtle things. But I dig this one. I like it.
Cool. Yeah, I think the wings are a little bit boxy, especially like the front kind of edge, the corner.
Well, I
should have fleeked a little bit more. See,
the way I'm picturing it is that those edges come into a curve, and the back sleeks up to the neck, to the body. It's thicker at the top, but thinner. So if you look at the underside, there'd be like a groove up. Mm-hmm. So it's actually still not thick, but it gives that nice little like curve into the body, which kind of like the bird of prey. Those two bits either side. It's like that shoulder bit that the rib cage that goes in. That's kind of how I'm visualizing it, rather than one big chunky piece.
Well, yeah, okay. Yeah. I do like this shape. I would just like to see this one as well.
Well, a variant, just have both.
Yeah. But if we go to the next picture, you get a comparison of how the final concept art did look. Which again, I think is fantastic. I love that shape as well. I think those wings make it look a little bit, I want to say, more aggressive. I think the past concept art was more aggressive looking, because it looks like a peregrine falcon in a dive with the wings folded back. The last one, this one looks more like it's just cruising, right?
It looks faster, definitely, and it has a sense where it's slicing through the air. The other one doesn't. So this one looks more like an attack fighter. It's going to go in and just... But I've got to ask then, if this is the concept, like where are the weapons? Like, you haven't talked about the weapons. Like,
I don't have any pictures of the weapons. I don't remember what kind of weapons it had. Like I said, this is me rediscovering the ship with you, which is kind of fun.
Right.
I'm sure there are weapons because it is a fighter. It's called the Warhawk.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
But I think there's circle bits in the wings there. I don't know if those fold in or like retract and the guns come out of there. I mean, I'm sure somebody knows out there. Put in the comments
you-
below where the weapons are, because honestly, I couldn't find any pictures of it, and I don't recall. And I thought it would be fun to kind of approach the ship and, like I said, rediscover it at the same time, because every time we do these mission briefings, we always think of something new and cool. There isn't a lot of information on the ship, to be perfectly honest. I mean, you can look it up on Google or whatever, and there's not like specs for it or anything. So
The thing about Fleetyards is that Star Trek is the unique show where they really thought it through. Look at
Yes.
Andrew Probert, look at Rick Sternbach, look at John Eames. You take any other sci-fi almost. They're just designs. They're just shapes. They're just cool things. And we can put logic and other discussion points in them. And the nice thing about what we do is that the fact they're flying means they have to have this. If they go to FTL, it must have it. Even if they didn't think about it, the shape is still got to incorporate it. So we can still discuss the logical, theoretical, and potential technology inside it. You know, looking at it as this one, not even two-dimensional, one-dimensional, it's this, does nothing for no one, you know. But trying to look at it as a 3D interesting ship or fighter or whatever, that's what we do. And that's why I think you guys watch the show. I mean, we get a lot of views for these shows, both for Trek, which we know a lot about, and these shows we don't. And I think that's really interesting, especially when, you know, I'm coming at completely fresh, never seen this before. You're coming at semi-fresh, but with a nice little fun bias. And so it's interesting to try and to challenge you, and you can challenge me when we get to the ones I've done. And it's I enjoy this. I think we're adding something just by really thinking it through. You know, with Star Trek ships, you know, with how many ships we've gone through that we really, really think it through.
yeah.
And most people don't do that because they don't need to. And so we bring these ideas out. But I want to, from what you do remember from the show, it's very far in the future. What was the weapon level like? I mean, was it laser beams? Was it machine guns? Was it?
It was like lasers. Yeah, it was nothing. It was nothing like phasers or anything like super powerful.
Okay, so you'd think this has like, just maybe hatches that open and little weapons just go out.
I would think so. The way it's designed, basically like a modern day fighter jet, along the leading edge of the plane. Even in World War II, the leading edge of the wing had the 50 caliber guns, and then the smaller guns beside those. So I'm sure there's a panel at the front there that maybe slides open, and there's guns hidden in the wing, the leading edge. Also, maybe the beak. The beak might have some kind of weapon capability as well, which I would probably add if I was designing that myself. So. I'm not sure, and like I said, I love learning new stuff about these things. So if you guys know if this is one of your favorite ships, put it in the comments. And I'm sorry I don't know, but I mean, I thought it'd be fun to kind of look at this ship, because I remember as a kid I loved this design, and I still do. It looks so awesome.
Yeah, this is a really good picture of it. I'll say that the first picture didn't do it justice.
Yeah,
it's a nice picture.
Anyway, I think we're going to call that an episode. The last picture I had was just one of it in space, and it's a really low res one because I couldn't find any better ones. So we're not going to look at that one. We're going to end on this really awesome picture of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed it. If you did like the video, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit the notifications thing so you know that when we release a new video, you get notified. And share the video around. If you know anything about the ship, please put it in the comments below. My brother is probably watching this going, "You idiot, don't you remember this?" And he's going to put all these facts in the bottom. But
And even if you design this ship, send us a message. Say hi. We want to know.
absolutely. So, closing thoughts for you, Samuel. What do you think of this design?
It's good. There's not much to it. So it's good. It looks nice.
Does it look sleek?
Yeah. See, it's like a game of play. I don't say it. He says it instead. It's funny. 2017 will be the year of Stuart Sleek and my TOS fanboy.
You saying it's interesting.
That is interesting.
That's my thing. There you go.
Your closing thoughts?
Again, I think I'm jaded by my childhood. Grew up watching this, so it's imprinted on my brain. But I think it's fantastic. They could make a modern day fighter jet that looked like this, and it would work perfectly. It's a perfect design for a modern day fighter craft. So that's my.
If you want to see this show, the full shows with all the renders, animations, scale charts, all that jazz, then please go to Patreon, the monthly YouTube donation service that helps YouTube creators like us keep content coming to you every single week, and the special shows coming to you much more regular. So that 1,000 goal, we're almost there. Help us hit it, and we will make these shows for you. The really awesome ones. They're really going to be amazing. Yeah.
Exactly. So, until next time, everyone, thank you for watching Fleetyards. I'm Captain Foley.
And I am Commander Coggins.
Bye, everybody.
I guess.
Caw-caw! Caw-caw! I'm a hawk. Or some kind of bird. Bah. That scared everybody.